Hello everyone, welcome back. Savages here, coming back with the new part of What If Deku was Ghostfreak. Now I'm sure that you all are wondering where have I been. After all, I've disappeared for quite a while, and the answer to that is that I've burned my hand on a water kettle. No, don't worry, it did not drop on my face as well. So we avoided that much, at least, but it's really screwed up my left hand, and I'm a lefty, so I just could not record as well as I could before. So I just didn't. Also, you guys are boring me these last few days, so I just said, screw you. Anyway, I'm back now. Thankfully, I've healed up, and though it's still a little painful, but it doesn't matter. For now, don't forget to tell me down in the comments what you think about this part, and well, let's just begin, shall we? Now, where we last left off after Midoriya went on a little, what can only be called a date with Ryuko, the girl from Class 1B that liked ghosts, so it was only natural that she have developed a feeling towards him when he's literally a walking corpse ghost. With that all being said, right now it's time for everybody to go on Island. After all, their exams are finally over and it's time for their little summer vacation. And so, Midoriya, after reaching Island, after all of Class 1A went to Island. And so, even though he did not get, what is it called again? An invitation for the expo and the little party in it, he still managed to get on the island. Though alone and without anybody with him, he still was going to try and have the best of time that he could. And so he does, right now as he's walking around Island, just looking around the place, his hoodie on his head because, well, he doesn't really look lovely, and too, the sun is really annoying. Eventually, as he's walking around just the park, looking at heroes, taking a few pictures, and just having a genuinely fun time, somebody saw him and gets closer to him, and then Midoriya sees that person as he turns around, hearing their voice, and he looks to see Ryuko once more. As Midoriya is like, oh, Ryuko? What are you doing here? As she said, I was about to ask you the same question. You're here as well? As Midoriya said, yeah, how did you, as she said, well, you know, me and my entire class have also gone, you know, we're giving a free pass on Island. Didn't your class get one as well? As Midoriya said, oh, so that's what it was. As he remembers how Mr. Aizawa told all of the class about Island and all of that, though I guess he wasn't really focusing on the part where all of them are gonna come on the island. So now he wonders if anybody else is here and if he can find them. Regardless, he asks what is she doing, and she said, well, I was just walking around looking for the spooky mansion and I kinda saw you, so I was wondering if you'd like to come see it with me? As Midoriya said, sure. You like spooky stuff, I remember that much at least. As she said, yeah, right. So, shall we go? And so Midoriya and Ryuko went ahead into a spooky house. That house wasn't really that spooky, with everything to be told truth. Midoriya is barely phased, and Ryuko saw much scarier things. In the end, they left the house disappointed, and so Midoriya decided to go and see a few things. Eventually, as they are continuing to walk around the park, Midoriya have heard the sound of explosions with Ryuko, and so both of them go to see where the explosion is coming from. And eventually they find what seemed to be a challenge run to destroy all robots, ones that Katsuki Baku is right now participating in. And Midoriya looking at it from the top of the, well, everybody's who's viewing down, and just impressed. Katsuki is here as well. I guess it makes sense. After all, he's the one who won the sports festival. But then he looks down to see Kirishima noticing him, and he said, oh, hey, is that you, Midoriya? As Midoriya looks down at Kirishima, and eventually once Baku is done with his little runtime of 14 seconds, he as well notices Midoriya. Though he doesn't immediately jump on him, he just stares at him for a solid minute. Midoriya and Baku just exchange glances, before Baka just walking away. And Kirishima said, "It's fancy seeing you here. Hey, wanna have a run at the test?" As Midoriya said, you mean you want me to jump in and try?" As he said, "Yeah, come on, it would be fun." As Midoriya said, "I'm not sure." As then Ryuko speaks up, saying, "I would love to see you do it. If that's not much trouble, I'm sure you can do good, right?" Cheering you on. As Midoriya just looking at how she's trying to act all, well, trying to motivate him, which is a little adorable, not gonna lie, because she's trying to act cheerful. So, trying to impress her and being motivated by her words, he jumps down in. As the woman that's right now speaking up, saying, "Okay, we have a new challenger. Who are you?" Oh. As she takes a step back, suddenly getting a little frightened by Midoriya's appearance after he takes the hoodie off of his head. But she keeps it professional. She tells Midoriya to prepare and get ready because he's about to start, and so Midoriya does. With his finger, he places his finger on the back of his left hand and runs his finger back up into his forearms as he opens. Well, he runs his finger through the lines and cracks in his body, letting the skin fall off and for all of his tendrils to be let out loose, which is just as disgusting as creepy as it sounds. And immediately, once she told him to go, he immediately jumps in, immediately flying. Well, I wouldn't call it flying, I would say more so just very quick jumping, and using the fact that he's able to levitate to his advantage, phasing through the rocks and immediately, well, penetrating all the robots and piercing them through their heads with his tendrils. Eventually, with the fact that he's easily able to move through these obstacles, and the fact that he has an eye on the back of his head, he managed to clear the course in 11 seconds, which is certainly to the dismiss of Baku and anger because he beat his record of 14 seconds. Everybody is a little weirded out by Midoriya, but the woman trying to cheer him on and cheer everybody on. After all, he won, even though he looks creepy. Regardless, Midoriya wins, and he goes back with the rest of his friends. Kirishima told him that he did amazing. They also see Todoroki eventually there, and Todoroki tries to do the same challenge, and, well, he does. Though he doesn't do as well as Midoriya, he clears it in just, 13 seconds. With that being said, Midoriya meets up again with, of course, Ryuko, and Ryuko just congratulates him on what he did, and saying that he looked amazing and all, and Midoriya is a little shy about it. Regardless of that, Kirishima and Baku just go their separate ways, leaving Midoriya and Ryuko alone. After all, Kirishima is a bit wondering what is going on with those two, so he just let them be. And so Midoriya and Ryuko continue. They walk around for a little while until they try to run into a certain part of the, park or the expo that shows some support items that Midoriya certainly wanted to see, but that section of the place is closed off. And so Ryuko is a little disappointed, along with Midoriya, and she said, "I was really looking forward to seeing what kind of things they're making here." As Midoriya said, "Yeah, me too." But then he got an idea. He said, "You really want to see them?" As she said, "Yeah, I did, but I guess we'll just gonna have to wait for another day." As Midoriya said, "Well, maybe we don't have to." As she wonders what does he mean by that, and so Midoriya gives her his hand. She grabs it and Midoriya just told her to relax. And so Midoriya turns invisible and intangible, and they walk right through the wall, just like a ghost. And eventually, once they arrive on the other side, Ryuko is, her eyes widening, her hand is on her chest, and she just, it was so weird, being intangible, being invisible. She only ever imagined doing these things, ever only fantasized about them. Is this how a ghost feel? As Midoriya said, "Well, we can look around the place. Just let's make sure no one finds us, and try staying close so we can turn invisible and if anything happens. And so they do. They look around the place for a little bit about some support items and some projects that are yet to be made. The place a little bit more creepy since there is not much light. It's just the light through their phones. Eventually, as they keep going through the place, Ryuko bumps into something and triggers something, which, well, got the attention of somebody that was in the place as well. And they look around, they hear a noise saying, "Who's there?" As eventually Ryuko trying to hide and get close to Midoriya to turn invisible, but they got caught. Caught by a girl with blonde hair looking at both of them. At first, when she saw Ryuko, she, well, wondering what's she doing here, but then when she turned the light on Midoriya, she immediately got spooken out and dropped her flashlight. But then eventually all three of them just start calming down. Immediately the girl says, "Wait, hold on, I didn't." But then they hear a voice from behind and somebody finally turns on the light as they hear a voice saying, "Who's there?" And immediately, well, the blonde girl looks to see one of the scientists that's working in this place. Not to mention Ryuko and Midoriya were about to leave, but they get caught, and, well, it might be better to just surrender, or they might consider them being some sort of, well, people who are here to steal. Eventually, the man with very, well, I wouldn't say ugly, more so just a very uncomfortable expression on his face and creepy dude just hunched forward looking at all three of them saying, "What are you two doing here? This is a very restricted area." And then the girl in front of them, the blonde-haired girl, jump and says, "They're with me. I was just showing them around the place. Sorry for annoying you, Dr. Victor." As Dr. Victor looks at the both of them and at Melissa, and Melissa said, "We were just about to leave the place. Sorry again for the annoyance." As he said, "Do you know that this place is strictly prohibited, right?" As she said, "Yes, I know, but you see, my friends over here are very enthusiastic about support items and all. I thought it wouldn't be harmful if we just took a quick look inside. We apologize for disturbing you. We'll be taking our leaves now." As well, Melissa just grabs both of their hands and starts pulling them out of there. And Midoriya, while they're walking away, he feels a weird glances over him. As he walked right past this huge man, he can't help but feel his eyes hovering over him. Creepily, even spooked him out for a little bit. Eventually, when all three of them leave this place and go back into the non-restricted area, immediately Ryuko starts apologizing, saying, "Oh, we're sorry for what happened. And thank you for the help back there," and as well as Midoriya does the same, while Melissa, the girl that introduces herself as Melissa, says, "Oh, it's okay. Nothing happened. But what were you two doing in there, and how did you even get in there in the first place?" As they start talking for a little bit, immediately Melissa gets very impressed. Ability to turn intangible and invisible, and it affects other living creatures. She would understand if it affects him, but his clothes and other people? She immediately starts touching Midoriya in many ways, looking around his body, running her fingers on the black lines on his arms and, well, hands, checking his tendrils and even staring into his third eye, just theorizing and everything. And, well, Midoriya is a little bit creeped out of it, if not a little nervous, with Ryuko kinda wondering what is this odd feeling of, well, weird thing in her chest. It just feels so small and tight. Regardless, eventually Melissa just told them that it's alright, but be sure to not do that again, especially with Dr. Victor around, which Midoriya wonders who's that guy. And, well, Melissa just explained that Dr. Victor is one of the top scientists on Island. He's a very, bright mind that created a lot of useful, well, support items and inventions for humanity. His latest, and that one he's working on the most, is trying to come up with clean energy for the planet. which Midoriya is wondering, well, it's certainly amazing, but he certainly looks scary and very angry. Melissa just looks the other way around, saying, well, she likes to imagine that he's just very stressed and just, smiles on the insides. Regardless, she eventually just, both of them excuses themselves, and Melissa excuses herself as well. She needs to get ready for the party after all. The sun starts setting, and so Midoriya and Ryoko start walking away. After all, they had quite the fun day, and so Midoriya decided to try and walk Ryoko back into her apartment, or, well, her hotel room. And as they're walking down the street, the sun has finally settled down. Some robots are running down the streets just doing the normal stuff, until suddenly an announcement comes up on the screens all around the place. A voice announcement with the picture of a man wearing a metal mask, calling himself Wolfram. He took this entire island hostage. And Midoriya, hearing that, he immediately gets a little angry, but also wonders how the hell are terrorists on this island? This just doesn't make any sense. After a while, Midoriya seeing the robots and how they are start taking the, normal people's hostages. He gets angry, and knowing that he needs to do something since the heroes are all captured, Midoriya told Ryoko to stay behind, but Ryoko does not want to stay behind. She knows that look on his face. He's gonna try to save everyone. After all, that's what he did with her back when they were in the mall. And so if he's gonna go, she wanna go as well. Midoriya told her that it's gonna be dangerous, but she's telling him that if he doesn't remember, she's also a Hero Course student just like him. She may not have gone through the same troubles that Class 1A went through, but she's trained and she can help. And so Midoriya just grabs her hand and turns again, invisible and intangible, as he flies through the tower. And thankfully, with the help of Ryoko's telekinesis, activating it on Midoriya, because, again, her quirk is not quite the telekinesis as I describe it. It's more so the ability to control anything telepathically using her mind after touching it, as long as the total weight does not equal higher than a regular human being. Now, thankfully, Midoriya is not the same weight as any regular human being. He's almost weightless, thanks to his unique physiology. And so, while holding Ryoko in his arms, he starts flying inside the tower, going up a few levels after seeing All Might and the rest of the heroes being captured down below. He was gonna try to do something, but then seeing that there are way too many people and he really doesn't have that many tendrils to use, he decided against it. And so the best second option is to reach to the top, like Ryoko suggested, to go to the top and take down the villain who took this entire island hostage, take away their control. And that's what they're going to do. Eventually, Midoriya starts climbing up the tower while holding Ryoko in his arms. Being intangible and invisible for this much is really having its toll on him, but he's managing. Eventually, however, he needed to take a rest. He's right now, well, both of them are right now inside one of the levels in the tower. An indoor garden, as he's right now hiding behind a bush with her, taking a deep breath, being like, just give me a few seconds. Sheesh, I didn't know being tangible for this long is tiring. As Ryoko said, maybe we should continue the rest of the... As Midoriya said, no, we can't. We can't allow them to know that we're here. We have the element of surprise on our side. But it's a little difficult. Still wonder what am I gonna do once we reach to the top. No, come on, Midoriya, think. But before he continue, suddenly both of them hear some noise. And, they go to see where the noise comes from, and they see Bakugo and Kirishima. As Midoriya said, Bakugo and Kirishima? What are they doing here? As Ryuko said, those are your classmates? As Midoriya sees the villains in front of them. As Baku and Kirishima seem to be completely unaware of what's going on inside this entire tower, the villains immediately go to the attack, and Midoriya was about to go jump in and save them, but a wall of ice immediately blocked the attack of the villain. As both of them see that, well, Todoroki is there, and the rest of Class 1A, well, not all of Class 1A, of course. Mostly Yairozu, Jiro, and a girl with a blonde hair, and Tenya Ida. Those are the people that are there. And Midoriya seeing both of them, he immediately comes out and, well, try to attack the villain. However, immediately Baku and Todoroki seeing Midoriya there, they immediately are like, "What are you doing here?" As Midoriya said, "I just saw that the tower has been taken over by villains, and so I came to help." As Todoroki said, "That's nice and all, but why don't you go and with the rest? We will handle things here." As Kirishima said, "Yep, this is all ours. You go and help the others. I'm sure they're gonna need you. You're very versatile after all." And so Midoriya gets with the rest of the class. Immediately all of them, thanks to Todoroki creating a pillar for all of them to reach into a higher place. Eventually they reach a closed door that they can't exactly access, only from the outside. However, thankfully, they don't need to climb the outside of the tower, because they have a ghost on their side. After Midoriya, of course, was introduced to Melissa, all of them are hyping Midoriya up, and, well, Midoriya proceeded to do as they ordered him to. He flies up into the top of the ladder, turns it on, and opens the door for everyone else. As everyone else coming out and climbing up, thanking Midoriya for how useful he is. Eventually they continue going forward, and as they do and continue climbing up, eventually their paths get blocked by a bunch of robots, a seemingly endless number of them, and even though the team tried their hardest to stop them, it just seemed like there is no end. Ida kicking with his hardest, Yairozu shooting them with her cannon, Jiro using her sound waves to push them back, even Ryuko trying to use her quirk by grabbing a few pieces of broken shard metals and scrap on the floor to use them as projectiles for her to pierce the robots, and Midoriya as well, trying to help as much as he can. However, it seemed that there is no way around of it. Immediately Ida said, "There seem to be infinite number of them. Damn it. We're gonna have to change our plan. Midoriya, take Melissa and Ryuko and go. We'll stay behind." As Midoriya said, "What? I can't leave you all behind, As immediately Ida continues saying, "You're the only one who can reach the top as quickly as possible. Take Melissa and make sure she just destroys all the controls. Once that is destroyed, then the robots will stop. And Ryuko will help you fly since you can't control your abilities." As Midoriya said, "But I..." As immediately Ryuko just grabs into Midoriya's hand saying, "Trust your friend, Midoriya. I know they can handle it. Come on, remember, we need to win." As Midoriya just looks at her and, well, eventually, even though he gets a little furious with himself, he, grabs Melissa and Ryuko. Ryuko using her quirk on him to control his directions and help him fly. And with that, Midoriya, Melissa, and Ryuko start climbing up the tower even more, eventually reaching to their, end point. However, not as smoothly as you might expect, because in their path stood a few criminals that start shooting at them. Thankfully, Midoriya using his abilities to ensure that the girls are intangible, hiding them behind a wall before he just went ahead and slammed the villains into the ground. And as he does that, he, holds one against the wall, questioning who sent them and where is his leader, and how did they even make it to Island. Melissa questioned that as well. The guy just reveals that, I'm not gonna tell you anything, as then Midoriya looks straight into his eyes and said, "Who said that I was asking you?" And then he reached inside the guy's head. The guy's eyes rolled to the back of his head and, his mouth started drooling and foaming. But then Midoriya got the information he wanted. He let go of the man as he falls into the ground unconscious. Melissa looks a little terrified, honestly, seeing the man do some weird noises and feeling Midoriya's hand reaching into his mind was a little disturbing. As she asked, "What did Midoriya do?" and he said, "I just read his mind. It's not beautiful, I'm sorry, but it's better than to have and interrogate him." Saying that they had help from the inside. A doctor or one of the scientists have opened the path for the villains to come into Island, and they are looking for something, but I'm not sure what it is. He didn't have that info. As Melissa hearing Midoriya saying that, a scientist, someone from Island, she then started wondering a little bit. She did see that her father got kidnapped by them, but no way, could it be? Her dad would never, it just doesn't make... But then Ryuko just puts her hand on Melissa's shoulder saying, "There is no time for us to start questioning it. Let's just go and see for ourselves. We can ask him, right?" As well, Melissa just calms down, and so all three of them continue. Eventually they reach it. They find him. David Shield and his right-hand man. They are standing as they are trying to open something up, and they are talking together. But then Melissa, overhearing them, saying something about, well, doing what must be done, and at the same time, something about the villain's bigger plan. As Melissa said, "Dad, what are you doing?" As David Shield, immediately seeing his daughter, is surprised, and he wondering, saying, "Melissa, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." As she said, "Those villains are on Island. Are they because of you?" As he said, "What? But they're not." Suddenly, immediately, thanks to Midoriya's other eye, he sees a danger coming. A metal pillar immediately hurling at super speed at Melissa and was about to kill her, but he immediately jumps in, touched her, and turned intangible, saving her life before pushing her away. As he sees Wolfram standing there at the side of the room. As he said, "Well, this ain't nice. You three weren't invited to the party. Well, guess I'm gonna have to deal with y'all." As Midoriya said, "You." And the guy looks at Midoriya and said, "Sheesh, who the hell are you? You look hideous. And I thought my scars looked bad." As then immediately the guy start attacking. However, Midoriya start phasing right through his attacks, and he's a little surprised by that. He did not expect that, but Midoriya's not here to play. He doesn't have time to play. He immediately just straight up went ahead, grabbed the guy by the face, threw him into the ground, and immediately brain screwed him to the point that he fell unconscious quickly. After which, thankfully, Melissa just looks at her dad, as immediately David goes to check on her, but Melissa yelling at him, questioning why did he do this? Why did he hire those villains? As well, David is a bit dumbfounded. He's like, "Hire villains? What? This doesn't make sense. I did not hire any villains." As Melissa said, "But if you're not the one that hired them, then who?" As suddenly they hear a voice from the door saying, "I did. And I have to say that their work is not as efficient as I believed. But what am I expecting from humans such as these?" As Midoriya turns around to see him, that man that they met this morning. What was his name again? As David yells out, saying, "Dr. Victor? What are you doing here?" As he said, "What does it look like? Here to finish the job this idiot could not finish. I guess it's my fault for counting on such pathetic humans." As Midoriya looks at him, saying, You're the one who allowed the villains in." As he said, "A bit of distractions that was useful for some times, but I got tired of waiting. I'll just finish the rest myself." As immediately Midoriya goes in to try and attack him. However, the moment he does, Dr. Victor pulls out something from his pocket, a gun that he shoots at Midoriya, as then when Midoriya tries to turn intangible, but still gets hit by it, he immediately starts falling into the ground. He feels his face burning, and he's in so much pain as he starts steaming a bit. And Dr. Victor said, "A gun ray, or a sun ray if you will. I've designed it specially for you after seeing you this morning. I knew you wouldn't stay around and act beautiful as I finish my work." As Midoriya looks at Dr. Victor through his fingers, his face is a little hurt. Some of the skin has burned off as he said, "You are in so much trouble." As Dr. Victor looks at him, he's not intimidated in the slightest. As then, from the sides, some other individual shows up. That mummy that Midoriya have faced once before, and another face, a werewolf. As Melissa, Ryuko, and both David and his right-hand man sees this, they see those people. No, those monsters. As Midoriya is on his knees looking at Dr. Victor standing between those two as he speaks up saying, "You may think yourself scary, but you're not the only one around here who's a freak." As then Dr. Victor starts transforming, he rips off his skin. Tesla coils bursting out of his back as he grows in size, and once everything is over and electricity is shining and glowing in his fingertips and around of him, everyone looks to see a disgusting marriage between flesh and machine, steel and blood and bones. With all of this disgusting rotten flesh, Midoriya looks at him as Dr. Victor immediately speaks up saying, "Now, the master's plan will be completed." Immediately, the mummy captures everybody, wrapping them quickly in bandages, while Dr. Victor shoots Midoriya again with another sun ray. He comments on the fact that Midoriya's protective skin layer still covers him, so he won't die from this, but it will still be painful and keeps him at bay, especially since he won't be able to turn intangible, because the way Midoriya turns intangible is by separating his atoms at a distance. But if he is to do that while the sun ray is shining on him, it will gonna heat up his cells to the point that they separate a little too thin, and then he won't be able to put himself back together. So right now he's being held at bay as the werewolves goes and rip the door of the cell that David Shield was trying to open, revealing inside a crystal, a glowing one of these purple crystals that Midoriya saw once that the mummy have gathered before. And now Dr. Victor telling the werewolf to go and put it up in its right place. The master plan need to be completed. And so they do. Eventually, Dr. Victor goes into the control panel as the werewolf, puts the crystal in its right place, and then a light shines, shooting up from the top of the tower of Island, up into the satellite, and then, immediately, the entire world is covered in a ray of darkness. The only place that is not affected is this very tower, thanks to its protective layer. As Midoriya is seeing what's going on, wondering what is Dr. Victor is doing, as he said, "Isn't it obvious? I'm taking this world for the master." However, as he's speaking up through the glass and looking down at Midoriya that is still under, on the ground thanks to the mummy, immediately from behind, somebody shoots fire, explosions comes to try and stop the mummy, and the rest of the class come in for the help, as immediately Dr. Victor seeing this saying, "Pitiful humans, of course you will try to stand in our way," as thankfully all of the help comes in very nicely, as they immediately causes the mummy to release everybody up, and the werewolf with the mummy starts standing against the rest of the class. Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, Oraka, Jiro, Momo, and of course Ida. All of them are standing up against those two, with Midoriya of course. And so they start fighting. However, Midoriya has better plans. He's going after Victor, while the rest of the class will gonna try to cancel whatever those three are doing. Melissa is gonna try at least. As Midoriya immediately flies at Dr. Victor, he grabs him by the,
Tesla coil and phases through the wall before throwing him out from the tower, as immediately Dr. Victor starts falling from the sky, free falling but ever. However, he managed to immediately use his electromagnetism to stick himself to the side of the wall, and right now Midoriya and Dr. Victor are standing, both on the side of the building of Eye Island, as Midoriya looks to see everyone down there in the streets mutating and transforming into the same kind of wild creature zombie that Aizawa once transformed into once he was exposed into that stone, as Dr. Victor looking at him saying, eventually the mutation will be permanent, even if your friends manage to stop the ray. And then the rest of the world will fall right into ruin. Take in the scenery because it will be your new world, you traitor. As Midoriya starts feeling something weird inside his body. Damn it, what is happening to me? As while still on the side of the tower, Dr. Victor, still using his electromagnetism to stick himself to the wall, walks a little closer to Midoriya as he said, the ray imitated from these crystals and powered with the machine creates the same kind of atmosphere in the vacuum of space. As he continues speaking up saying, in normal circumstances, an ectonorite such as you would reach his full potential with absolute darkness and become much more stronger. However, you're not fully ectonorite, are you, you disgusting half-breed? While your human side is trying to mutate, your ectonorite side is fighting that mutation, resulting in making you suffer. However, as he grabs him by the head and starts slamming him to the floor before saying, I will ensure to put you out of your misery before then. As Dr. Victor then grabbed Midoriya and threw him off of the side of the building, and as he's falling from the sky using his electricity, he shoots it and fries him as Midoriya falls into the ground, surrounded by all of these monsters, before Dr. Victor jumps down with a crushing sound of electricity as the steel beneath his feet just breaks and crumbles. As the monsters around of them, seeing Dr. Victor, they proceed to start to try and attack him as well. However, he just starts electrocuting them. It doesn't matter. They're right now out of control, but eventually they're gonna be able to control them. He has plans for that. His master prepared it for sure. As he's walking towards Midoriya trying to stand up, but he's feeling all these pain in his head. This is agonizing pain. Something wants to burst out, while at the same time he feels his skin burning. As Dr. Victor starts grabbing Midoriya by his face, slam him to the floor before then throwing him to the side, using an electricity to shoot him. As Midoriya is trying to stand up, trying to fight as much as possible, he throws one of his tendrils as Dr. Victor, but he grabs it and then lifts it up before slamming him to the ground again, spin around and then threw him at a bunch of those monsters. As Midoriya starts trying to stand up again, he's feeling this pain in his body, and Dr. Victor suddenly hearing something from the darkness as Dr. Victor says, what is that? Had enough yet, traitor? As then he hears a sound saying, I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter because you are pissing me off. As then Dr. Victor takes a step back, and suddenly he feels a force on his body lifting him up in the air before throwing him to the side of the building, and he sees that was telekinesis, but it doesn't make sense. He looks through the shadows and the darkness as he sees Midoriya stepping out. His arm is exposed, all the human skin removed, and what's left is the claw of an ectonorite. The right side of his face is torn apart. There are spikes shooting out of his back, and he's dragging his other arm that is already transformed into tendrils on the floor as he cracking his neck back and forth. As he said, you really have no idea of who's you're messing with. as then he flies at Dr. Victor, grabs him by his Tesla coil, slammed him to the floor before then spinning around and throwing him into the side. As then he lifts his hand up, a lot of rocks just fly up at his command and as Dr. Victor, while Dr. Victor shooting his electricity to try and stop them, he immediately through this destruction and the smoke, Midoriya flies and jumps right into Dr. Victor's body. As then he's possessing him, he starts floating Dr. Victor up before rapidly slamming him to the floor and then throwing him while simultaneously leaving his body. As then he looks to see Midoriya falling on the floor and he starts tweaking more. He starts ripping the skin off of his face. The thing that's wanna get out finally comes out, and before long Dr. Victor looks to see that the half-breed was actually an ectonorite beneath that human. As he looks to see it, his eyes widening and he said, "No way, is that you, Master?" As before he can mutter all these words completely, the ectonorite in front of him opens up his chest, ripping it open as a dark antimatter energy beam shoots right at Dr. Victor. In his confusion and distraught, he couldn't protect himself as the laser pushes him right through a few buildings, and he's knocked out. As the ectonorite looks down at Dr. Victor, but then he was about to stab him, but suddenly darkness disappears. And all of a sudden, everybody's demutated and returned back into normal humans. As the sun finally starts rising up in the distance, and once the sun touches him, he starts feeling another shock of pain. And through the very monster that was born from beneath Midoriya's skin, the human once again resurfaces as he falls into the ground, spitting out tendrils as he's it's... And he just falls unconscious while Dr. Victor standing up saying, "Impossible, you are." As then, in the distance, immediately, he gets shot with an explosion after hearing the word "die," as Dr. Victor goes back to see Bakugo and some of the Class 1As, at least the ones that can fly, including Ryuko, that floated thanks to 2 pieces of rubble she used as, well, a platform for her to stand on. She checks on Midoriya that is unconscious on the floor right now, while Dr. Victor, seeing that they apparently have managed to stop the ray and defeated the mummy and the werewolf. However, he said, "This is not over. We will meet again, Master." As then Dr. Victor lifts up his hand into the air and slams it to the floor before a giant lightning strike hits right from the clouds above and down below. As in the lightning he disappears and everything is over. Even the werewolf and the mummy disappears inside the building. And after a few hours, everybody gets back together. No one remembers what happened exactly. Everyone who was mutated just feels kinda odd. Midoriya also doesn't quite remember what happens. He just felt so weird. All of what happened to him. It's a disgusting feeling. It makes his bones shiver. He doesn't know why, but there was something deep inside of him that bursted out for a second. And if it wasn't for that ray of sunlight, he doesn't know if he'll ever was going to be able to return. But with that being said, the police, the heroes all gather up. They captured, of course, Wolfram, as they reveal that Dr. Victor was responsible for all of this. It seemed that he was doing something. Even across the globe, there was a few instances of people mutating. However, the mutation wasn't permanent, thankfully. And after a few days, everyone starts spending their days on Island a little bit more. Melissa consults with her father, realizing that her dad did not call on those villains. It was Dr. Victor's doing, and made up, even though he was a bit sad about All Might's and the way that All Might keeps getting weaker and just today what happened made him realize just how much dangerous the world really is have gotten without All Might around, but All Might have reassured him that he have already chosen somebody to succeed him. While on the other side with Midoriya, he's right now standing down in the streets, getting ready to leave Island, or at least he was going to the airport, but he's stopped by Ryuko. With her friends in the distance, Midoriya's eyes widen after Ryuko told him something, and just to make sure, while he's blushing heavily, he's like, what did you just say? As Ryuko, while holding her hands down, blushing heavily and just shaking her shoulders, saying, I was wondering if you would want to be my boyfriend? As Midoriya said, what? You want me to be your thing, us thing is, as she said, it's okay if you don't want to. I know I'm not the most beautiful, but I really do like you. If that's okay with you, can I be your girlfriend? As Midoriya is just, this is way so much. I don't know how I'm supposed to react. And as she said, you could say yes. As Midoriya said, as he's looking left and right, trying to figure out something, and well, some of his classmates, a bit in the distance, watching this, they're, immediately ecstatic. Certainly, Yaozu and Jiro are watching this. They're trying to, point him in the direction to go on, say it. As Uraka is a little weirded out by that, but she's also a bit supportive. And Ryuko said, if you don't want to, can we at least, go out sometime and then you can give me your decision if that's okay with you? Or if I'm annoying you, as Midoriya said, no, it's fine, it's just, this is a little surprising. I just... You sure you want to be with someone like me? I mean, you look at me. As she said, I don't really care how you look. I'm not gonna lie, when I first met you, I was really mesmerized by how you look. I think you look spooky, and I like spooky stuff, but I also like you, not just your looks. If so, would it be okay if we go out sometimes, on a date? As Midoriya just looking at his friends and some of Ryuko's own friends that are also in the distance, and feeling kinda a little bit pressured, if not also surprised that Ryuko really isn't bothered by how he look, especially after the treatment he's getting in the past few months. He accepted to at least go on a date, maybe, which he can't believe he actually said it. And Ryuko was very happy to hear that, and for once, Midoriya have saw something that made his heart skip a beat. He saw her smile. Such a little small smile that is, as much as it's sad, it's adorable. That being said, both of them go into their separate ways and on their own airplanes, and they go back home, wondering what will gonna happen in the future. And even though Midoriya is still a bit skeptical about that Dr. Victor and his monster trio, he's at least happy to know that whatever plan they had have failed, and that the stones and these weird radioactive gems that they have taken from the safes in Island have been taken away and either destroyed or kept in a safe place. And with that all being said, this is gonna leave it off, guys. Don't forget to tell me down in the comments what you think about this part, and what do you think gonna happen in the next part. Well, I have nothing more to say then. Severed was here. Bye.